In the headlines, data collection to be prioritized within the Ministry of Agriculture, 2 CXC committees to review students' performance in this year's exams, and international media outlets praise Dominica's ban on plastic and styrofoam food containers. I am Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, the Caribbean Examinations Council has set up 2 review committees to analyze students' performance in this year's CSEC exams. Public Relations Manager for the Caribbean Examinations Council, Cleveland Sam, was responding to a question by Channel 5 News during a press conference earlier this week. His comments came following the revelation by CXC Registrar Glenroy Cumberbatch that 11,000 students did not receive passes in any of the CSEC subjects they sat this year. Cumberbatch did go on to say that on average, 13% of students receive no passes on an annual basis. Over 60,000 students around the region sat the CSEC exams this year. PR Manager for CXC, Cleveland Sam, says the review committees will assess results in 3 subject areas.
CXC has also set up a couple review committees to look particularly at performance in math, English, and Caribbean history. Traditionally, as I think every speaker here said, that math and English are 2 of the most critical subjects for us. And the performances generally are under 50%, which I think we all agree is unacceptable. So CXC has set up 2 committees to review what is going on with these subjects and to come up with recommendations. And these recommendations will be presented at the council meeting in December in St. Vincent for the council's consideration. With respect to performance in Caribbean history, the committee, which is chaired by Professor Alan Cubley from UWI Cave Hill, has completed its work and they're to present their report as well.
Sam says CXC has provided students with a lot of free material and encouraged the children, teachers, and parents to utilize the available resources to better prepare for future CSEC exams.
There is a responsibility on the part of the students, as well as the teachers, and critically important parents. What we find happening in some instances with the cohort that you refer to, those students who did not obtain a single pass, they are not adequately prepared for the examination. And while CXC is the examination board, it is the responsibility of the candidates who are preparing for the exams to be so prepared. As I said, all of these resources that are available free. The only resource that we sell from the CXC store is the past papers. The syllabuses, I am amazed when I interact with students. The number of students who have never seen a syllabus for the subject that they are pursuing.
When Ministry of Education officials were asked what number of Dominican students fell into the 11,000 who received no passes, media were told that further analysis would have to be done on the country's CSEC results to ascertain a figure. In other developments, the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union, in its bid to secure its members' employment at the DBBL, had asked the government to intervene in the matter post-Hurricane Maria. Secretary-Treasurer of WAWU, Curtis Augustus, said while the trade union was proactive in its approach to make a case on behalf of staff of the brewery, 32 employees, inclusive of 2 management staff, were made redundant earlier this month.
We, from the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union, we were concerned following Maria last year that workers would probably be losing their jobs. On the basis of that, we had reason to write to the administration in December of last year so that we could hold some discussions with them in terms of how we would like to see things go and what contribution the government could make in terms of ensuring that the employment levels be maintained. However, that was not possible. We hadn't had any opportunity for such discussion, but following our discussion with the management earlier last month, we were able to accept the fact that the workers would be made redundant.
Even if, according to Augustus, the company did not give the required 1 month notice to discuss the pending redundancies, he said management still paid off workers under agreeable conditions.
Well, it came just about 24 hours before they had discussions with the staff. They called for such a meeting. I was able to hold that meeting with them at the Fortune Hotel, where they laid the cards as to what they were going to say. In fact, I was asking the question whether, in fact, I would be required to be there at the time that they are talking to the rank and file staff. And they indicated that if you want, you can. But what we have discussed with you is the very same thing that we are going to put before the staff. The sad news is that the termination is going to come because workers have been accustomed of getting their full pay, irrespective of the fact that they had very little to do. And some were, in fact, just reporting, spend an hour or so and get back to their homes and are being paid. So from that standpoint, we felt that the management was doing a beautiful thing for workers.
In other top stories, as the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation prepares to develop a plan of action on indiscriminate dumping and littering, the public is being warned to make use of the several litter bins in the city. General Manager of the corporation, Florian Mitchell, says there is no excuse for littering in Roseau, defending the availability of bins erected around the city.
Prior to the hurricane, we lost some bins.
Okay.
The demonstration in Roseau, some people caused damage to some of the bins. There are several bins on King George V Street. If you go Great Marlborough Street, there are several bins all throughout the Roseau city center. If you are a business sector, you could help us. You could sponsor a few more bins if you notice that your street probably may require 1 or 2 bins. I mean, you could contact the urban renewal, you could contact solid waste, we could talk to you, we could see how we could partner in erecting a few more bins within the city.
He said in some instances, business owners are guilty of creating major pollution eyesores when they dump garbage around the litter bins.
And I just want to emphasize the word litter bins, not a receptacle for your household garbage. Or not because your business place is close to that bin, you put your garbage out by the bin and expect the Waste Management Authority or the city council to collect for you. All what we're trying to do is in an effort to keep the city clean. But again, even if you have all the mechanisms in place, the people, they're supposed to use the systems that you have in place. It's not to serve the tourists first. We are here every single day, 24/7. Whatever systems we put in place is to serve us as citizens primarily first. And then anybody comes in will benefit out of the systems that we put in place. As we speak now, I mean, there are green bins all over the place. I mean, the bins that when we started the program a few years back, the bins we had were a bit smaller. The Ministry of Tourism Urban Renewal came on board after the hurricane. They reinstalled all the bins. So we have quite a number of litter bins throughout the city.
Mitchell says a multi-sectoral approach will be adopted as plans are in place to review legislation to enforce penalties for litter offences.
Those entities that have legislation that hinges on the environment. So we want to pull everybody together and we're going to have this plan and then we'll detail, okay, we're going to be here today, we're going to be here next week, and we have a whole year enforcement plan that would help us reduce the volume of littering that we're seeing on our highways, in our streets, in our communities, in our backyards.
Chargé d'Affaires of the People's Republic of China, Wei Weishe, says the people-to-people exchange plays a significant role in deepening the friendship and mutual understanding between Dominica and the People's Republic of China. Addressing the latest group of 10 recipients of Chinese government scholarships, their families and government officials this week, His Excellency said the friendship and cooperation between Dominica and China has benefited both countries. He noted that education was an important field which people-to-people exchange can be enhanced in a way that benefits each other. Earlier this year, Dominica and China jointly held 2 bilateral training classes focusing on Dominica's urgent needs. The ambassador says these training programs have achieved desirable outcomes. He also gave a commitment that China would launch more programs with the aim of approaching more people in the future. You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fence pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Welcome back. Minister for Agriculture Reginald Austri has cited the lack of critical data as a major challenge for his ministry. The minister, who took up the new portfolio 4 months ago, is determined to revolutionize the sector. He said inadequate data paints an incomplete picture of agriculture's contribution to the economy and also affects the number of farmers who benefit from his ministry's incentives.
I believe agriculture is playing a much greater part in our economic development than is being recorded. We have a problem with that, and I don't believe that we're capturing the contribution being made by the hucksters, by the farmers, by the exporters, by the manufacturer of agricultural produce, by the cassava and Toloma farmers. I do not believe that we're doing justice to them. I do not believe that the efforts are being properly recorded, and so they lack the necessary recognition that is required. Because if I don't know what you're doing, I cannot recognize you for what you're doing. So we have a problem with that. We have to introduce new technology. We have to have a better data collection system. One of the problems we had after Maria was our inability to immediately put our hands on the button and know how many farmers we had. What were they producing? What were they producing? What was the output over the last? There is a serious dearth in data.
Shortly after his appointment, Austria announced that a Meet the Farmers tour was top on his agenda.
I've been going around the country. I've visited all the agricultural divisions, maybe 2 or 3 fishing communities, and that exercise will in fact continue. And you've been speaking with the farmers. There's a lot of energy, but that excitement and energy can only be sustained if the ministry itself will do what it has to do. The government is doing what it can do. We have money. We have money at the aid bank for agricultural purposes. We have to revisit the strategy being used. Was that money put there for every backyard farmer, for every small farmer, for every subsistent farmer, or do you want to target your commercial farmers? And we have quite a few commercial farmers I'm here on the island. But is that where you want to target? Is that where your foreign exchange will come from? Is that where you will see the difference in your GDP contribution from agriculture?
The minister believes agriculture can play a greater role in the economic fortunes of Dominica once the proper structures are put in place.
Although we have an aging farmer population, but I believe there is still a lot of energy within that sector. But we have to meet them, not halfway, but we have to meet them along the way. And I believe that the Ministry of Agriculture has to play a greater part in the agricultural fortunes of Dominica. I believe the Extension Services, who is the first point of contact with the farmer and the ministry, we can do a much better job. We're doing what we can, but I think we can do much better. With a little more incentive, with a little more reorganization, with a little more restructuring, with a greater focus, we can do it.
A growing number of international media outlets have been highlighting Dominica's decision to ban plastic and single-use styrofoam cups and food containers.
The decision to ban these non-biodegradable items was announced by the Prime Minister in his 2018-2019 national budget. It's also part of government's plan to make Dominica the first climate-resilient nation. While the actual ban is due to go into effect in January 2019, the decision by Dominica, which is not the first, has drawn praise from various quarters around the world. Part of a write-up on Dominica in the National Geographic puts it this way: Dominica isn't just on the front lines of climate change. The island's warm waters are also one of the world's most popular summer habitats for migrating sperm whales. Protecting these populations adds urgency to the effort to eliminate plastics that are known to be harmful to marine mammals. CNN Traveler and Global Citizen have also reported on Dominica's intended ban on plastic and styrofoam products. CNN Travel says the fight against single-use plastic has been gathering steam over the past months, but the Caribbean nation of Dominica has taken the crusade to another level. The Global Citizen says with a population of over 75,000, Dominica is more than 100 times smaller than New York City, so it's not like the new law will significantly reduce global plastic pollution, but it reinforces the message that single-use plastics are on the way out. In recent years, more than 60 countries have taken action against single-use plastics. Julian Morris, Channel 5 News.
And the Dominica Police Force could have access to the expertise and experience of a retired Scotland Yard detective if they require it. That's what David Michael told the Channel 5 News last month. It is unclear whether the local police force has taken him up on his offer, but the retired detective, formerly of the New Scotland Yard, who is here building his retirement home, says he is open to offering guidance where needed and to share his expertise in any way he can.
As soon as I started coming back in 1974, I've kept in touch with every commissioner, I've kept in touch with police headquarters in Roseau, and I think I had a particularly positive relationship with Mr. Desmond Blanchard when he was chief. I have had a reasonable relationship with most of his successors, but I'm keen in any way I can to support the incumbent chief, the Commonwealth of Dominica Police, the Minister of Justice, and police and criminal justice and community safety in Dominica on a whole.
You are available?
I'm available, I'm accessible. My parliamentary rep, Dr. Darrow, I've had a meeting and conversations with him. I've had conversations with the Minister of National Security, Mr. Blackmore. I've had conversations with the Prime Minister. In fact, the Prime Minister tagged me on LinkedIn, and we're having an ongoing dialogue.
Dr. Michael says he has interacted with Police Chief Daniel Carbon and he is optimistic about opportunities for collaboration.
We've had conversations. I've offered help and assistance. His initial instincts was to say to me, yes, anything I can contribute to enhance the efficiency of the police service in Dominica would be welcomed. We haven't really progressed that too much, but as those were his initial instincts, I'm hoping we can build on that.
To end the news, the headlines again. Data collection to be prioritized in the Ministry of Agriculture. 2 CXC committees to review students' performance in this year's exams. And international media outlets praise Dominica's ban on plastic and styrofoam containers. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access or pause the newscast on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us next time.